the role of tech in solving economic problems in countries in Africa has a huge potential. And so there's increasing demand for people with software skills, but despite that, there are skills gaps in the market, and this is something I want to try and explain. In Africa, lots of people go to university and they want to learn technology, and there are lots of really high quality university degrees available. But despite that, there is no good market for or developed market for the software industry. So it's kind of hard to explain, but like here, students from universities such as Utrecht will graduate, find a job with a company who invests in graduate training. They'll work alongside more experienced mentors, and eventually your skills level grows until you're an experienced IT practitioner. In countries like Kenya, the market is less efficient and less well developed. And so a lot of people leave university with a degree, and yet they are unable to find work. And as an alternative to unemployment, people often get together and start small companies. But the people in those small companies have never had the opportunity to work alongside more experienced practitioners. And so they don't really know how to build a company or to develop software in the way that people would do in European countries. And so the result of that is that there are lots of small companies with fairly low capability. There are big budget projects in Africa. So for example, a telephone company or a government might need sophisticated software, but due to the lack of capacity in the local market, it gets outsourced. And the result of that is that mid-sized projects are often too complex for the local companies, but too low budget to be outsourced, and so they simply go unfulfilled. So a lot of those social impact projects that can use technology to fix social problems, they fail because there is no local company capable of delivering the software. And back in about 2010, Competa, by some kind of coincidence, I went on holiday to Morocco, and driving around Morocco, I noticed lots of people sitting around not being gainfully employed, and lots of young people. And I thought, wouldn't this be a fantastic place for people to work on software development? You know, as we've seen through COVID, it doesn't really matter where you're located. You can still write code. And so, kind of taking that observation and mixing it up with ideas from fair trade, we came up with this idea of fair trade software, and we thought, well, how can a company in the Netherlands try and help people in Africa to get employment in the software industry? So we founded the Fair Trade Software Foundation in 2010, 2011. And then since then we've undertaken a number of projects, all with the name Pamoja. Pamoja is Swahili for together. And so I'd like to tell you about those projects. The first one was CodePamoja. We'd noticed the capability and capacity gap, and we're trying to find ways of removing that gap to give Kenyan graduates the same kind of experience that or learn on-the-job learning that people here have. And so we did that by setting up cross-border Scrum teams with some of the people located in Africa, and some in Kenya, in Nairobi, and some in The Hague. And then working on real projects. And what we wanted to teach people, because a lot of the graduates from African University have got very good tech skills. They can learn anything online that we can learn from here, but they just lack the experience in working practices, particularly project management, Scrum, Agile. And cross-border Scrum is not unusual. I mean, a lot of companies have Scrum teams located in different countries. But the thing we realized was you can't just teach a team Scrum and then expect them to be able to work. So we mixed the teams up with some of the team members in the Netherlands and some in Kenya. And it was a really interesting experience. the project lasted about 2 years. There's a lot I could talk about, but I think just one thing that indicates the strange ways in which cross-border collaboration can help people is that in Africa it's a social issue that you would never ask your boss for something. If you want something, either you don't get it or your boss just gives it to you anyway. We set up the program with 2 partner companies in Nairobi and then my company in Den Haag. And our developers were complaining that the Kenyan developers took really long lunch breaks. And when we asked them why, they said it's because they had to go to the shopping mall to get food because there was no refrigerator in the office and it was too hot to bring their own food in. And so normally it would not be possible for a junior developer in Africa to say to the boss, please can I have a refrigerator? But because we use Scrum, in the retro we were putting up improvement stickies about the African guys taking too long for lunch. And so the team made an action, we need a refrigerator so that we can be more productive and work more. And they got a refrigerator. And that was just one small example of how teaching people simple things like good project management can really make a change. So with that project, we learned in the Netherlands as well, we learned that if you give, you get back. Because we trained 100 graduates in Kenya, and around about 100 students joined Competa here in the Netherlands to work in teams with the Kenyan guys. And the students really liked the experience, they liked working at Competa. And so when the program ended, a lot of them joined Competa, and some of those people are still working for Competa now, 5 or 6 years later. And so we didn't set out to make any money out of this, but we did discover that there's a real benefit for participating in this kind of initiative. We did get something back. That was for us. In Kenya, we worked on around about 4 projects. In total, 300 developers went through the CodePamoja program to date. It still runs on a small basis with one Kenyan company hiring graduates. And around about 250 people got a job as a result of this, which we thought was pretty good. But the really interesting thing was the forward linkages. One of the companies who participated, because they were involved in the project themselves, they also learnt about project management. And by leveraging their increased knowledge and their contacts with people in Europe, they managed to win a contract from a major African bank to develop a CRM system to allow account managers to sign up customers for their first bank account in rural areas. So, like, it might take 2 days for an account manager to travel to a remote rural area, meet a farmer who needs his first bank account and get microfinance, and then travel 2 days back to the office again. So the traditional banking methods of paper-based assessment don't work. You need to be able to sign people up in the field for a bank account. And as a result of that, within the first year, over 750,000 people in rural Africa got their first bank account. And something like, I think, about 25 million euro in microfinance was distributed to people who've never had a loan before. And we weren't involved in this. We didn't do this, but we catalyzed it because the guy in the picture there, he was involved in CodePamoja and learnt how to manage complex software projects. They couldn't have done this if they hadn't have been involved in CodePamoja. And we also learned that if you catalyse things, there can be exponential growth. So here's me, and I just noticed when I reviewed the slides earlier, I'm wearing exactly the same shirt. I do have more than one shirt. Sitting in an office with the Kenyan government here in Nairobi. And one of the people here was an attendee on CodePamoja who learnt Scrum and how to do project management well. And she's gone and taught several hundred other people in the Kenyan government. And so this was a meeting where they were telling me what kind of projects they're involved in now and what their experiences are. And I was amazed at how you really can train one person and they go on and train a lot of other people, and the benefit multiplies. So at the end of that project, we thought, well, that was fantastic, really interesting experience. How can we make it bigger? Because we could simply do it again. Or how can we take the learning points from there and find a way to scale it further? And so in 2019, we set up a project with the German government, GIZ is German Government Development Agency, to encourage more companies to work in this way. And this project has been more difficult. We tried to set up three-way partnerships between African organisations who need IT, African IT companies, and companies here in Europe who can act as a mentor and teach people how to run the projects well, as we had done with CodePamoja. We found it's very easy to find partners in Africa. Finding companies who need software is easy, but often they don't have funding for the software development, and so there are timing issues about getting projects started. But we did find it very difficult to find European companies who were interested in this. It's, I think to a lot of European companies, it just seems too far away, and it's not obvious what the benefit to the company here is. But nonetheless, we've run a few projects and we've signed up a total of around 40 more companies who are being involved in the Fair Trade Software Foundation, the Fair Trade Software Concepts. Although I'll be honest, we've really struggled through the coronavirus pandemic. The communication with our partners in Germany has been very difficult because they've been working from home, and a lot of European companies, the focus has just been on trying to fix the problems of the pandemic. So this project has been partially successful, but still we've completed a number of interesting projects. We did one for an NGO called Voluculture, who organise volunteers for work on African projects. They needed an online platform building. We managed to deliver that for them with a Kenyan partner. And another firm, EurAfrican, is a fintech organisation in Nairobi to help with online payments for various services. And that was another project that was delivered through the WorkPamoja initiative. Going forwards, we want to continue this EurAfrican collaboration and look for more synergy, more ways to help people with increasing impact. And so currently, we've got an initiative to help African companies use tooling. One of the things that we've noticed in the work we've done over the last few years is that African companies are often reluctant to invest in the tooling that we use here. And that's either because it seems too complex or too heavyweight for the kind of projects they're participating in, or in some cases they think it's an extra cost, and cost is such an issue in Africa that a lot of companies are reluctant to invest in the software products we might use here. And so we think that we can really help people in Africa and help the IT market in Africa by providing them with commercial products that are simple and easy to use and free. And so currently with one of our Kenyan partners, there's a firm called Deuces, who have a suite of software products that they market under their name of Baraza. And we are going to contribute 2 products to their portfolio, which we're developing here in the Netherlands, and then donating to Deuces for free for their African users. And the first one's a product called Grip, which is an easy-to-use CRM system for managing lots of small projects. The typical CRM software that people use here is geared to fairly complex and managing fairly complex large projects. In Africa, often companies have a lot of small projects, so we're in the process of building something for that we will make a commercial product here in Europe, and it will be not free product here in Europe, but in Africa we'll make that free for use, free of charge. And then the other product is OpenSEA or OpenESEA, which is actually been developed with help of people from Utrecht University. When we started the Fair Trade Software Foundation, we found that a lot of NGOs have a problem reporting back on project progress towards the funding sponsors. And also in the fair trade, agricultural fair trade industry, there's a lot of problems with certification and audit of fair trade organizations. And so we started thinking, how can we build an online platform that's lightweight and easy to manage? And so I think quite some time ago now, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we started collaborating with some of the IT department here at Utrecht University to come up with an online method for evaluating the criteria that are needed to audit and control projects, and then deliver that on an online platform where people can feed back against a certain set of parameters to determine how well the project is performed. So, for example, in fair trade, if you want to prove that you're ethical, you might need to demonstrate that you don't have child labour, that you have a gender equality in your organisation. So a company can fill in the criteria into a method, and then people can view that and then feed back on whether the company does what it says. It's a really complex product. We built a pilot with Utrecht University, and we're now looking for external funding to turn that into a fully fledged product. What have we learned? You really can change people's lives and have a huge impact by helping people develop software in Africa. That's quite clear. And if you work with people in Africa, you build lasting local and international networks and linkages that really help people there. African businesses and African software developers really benefit from the contact with people here. And the benefit can be mutual. You know, in Competa, we started this just to see what had happened, and we weren't expecting any particular benefit back. We just thought it was a good thing to do. But we found that we do benefit. The involvement with the students has really helped our recruitment, and we're now thinking that when we deliver products, if we make them free in Africa, then we get a test load, we get early feedback. We can derive financial benefit here, but we still get something back in Africa without charging people. Despite our experiences, we found it really is a problem or an issue to get more European companies to participate in this way. But that's something we're still working on. And also the role of Agile has been really interesting. I think software development is not just about the code and the tech, it's also about how you approach the problem solving and how you projects manage software projects. And really, I think that's the area where we can help people in Africa. Agile works in Africa. I think that's something that warrants further academic research. So here's the timeline. Competa started in '97. We started the Fair Trade Software Foundation in 2010. In 2015, we started the CodePamoja project, which still goes on a small scale. 2019, we started trying to encourage more companies to do this. That's been partially successful. We have around 40 people signed up as members of the Fair Trade Software Foundation now. We would like more European companies involved. There's currently only maybe 5 or 6 actively involved. 2021, we're launching the Impact Pamoja or Projects Pamoja. We haven't decided on the name yet. And we've also got a concept for Buddy Pamoja, which is to pair individual people in Africa with someone here. And maybe this is something that students from Utrecht University might like to participate in. We've got a lot of people in Africa who've said that CodePamoja was a great experience, and they know lots of other people who would also like to partner with people in Europe. And so the current idea is that for reasons of cost and efficiency, we do that on an individual basis. So we're looking for people here who want to collaborate and be a code buddy for people in Africa. Really the conclusion, the message is, work with us, not for us. When people think about software development in developing countries, it's very easy to think that that means that we're going to outsource something. We give them work and they do our work for us. And really, I don't agree with that. I think African brains need to be engaged in solving African problems, not our problems. And we can derive benefit ourselves from helping people. So you don't have to make a margin on somebody else's work. You can find synergy and ways to work together and to help each other. That's it. Thank you. Asante in Swahili. I'm on LinkedIn. I take links from everyone. If you're interested, if you'd like to join in, participate, find out more, please link to me. Thank you.